Hello friends, my name is Paramjeet Singh and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in the last video, as I have already discussed about public load balancer, so in this lecture we are going to do the demo of this public load balancer. We'll create virtual machines. We need to create two virtual machines using the availability set option. So I'll show you how to create the virtual machines using availability set, and then we'll go ahead and create a load balancer which is going to balance the load between these two virtual machines. And there are 4 steps that we need to follow while we create load balancer. Once the load balancer is created, we go ahead and we make changes to these 4 options, like we create front-end IP configuration, we create back-end pools, we create health probes, and then we also create load balancing tools. These 4 steps are very important for our load balancer to work properly, and when you follow these steps, make sure you are you follow the steps very carefully. You select the options that I am selecting so that the virtual machines which we are working on give us the required result, because we are going to balance the load between two virtual machines. So I'll show you how the load transfers from one server to the another server, or you can say from one virtual machine to another virtual machine. But if you do this lab and you do not see the results, then you can go through the video once again and create the resource group and do the complete lab once again. Okay, so let's go to the Azure portal and do this lab. So it's portal.azure.com. Log in with your Outlook ID. Here I am on the Azure portal. So first step that we need to do is create two virtual machines using availability set. So I'm going to create the first virtual machine. Okay, create a resource group. So I created RGLB, which is load balancer. Then the name of my virtual machine is web server 1, because we are going to create a web server. We'll make it a server 1, and then we'll create another server which is going to be server 2, and we'll switch the load between these two servers. So this one is web server 1, and you can change the location to East US. In availability options, you select availability set. So once you select availability set, it gives you option to create new availability set. So I name it as my availability set, my AS. Click OK. I select the image as server 2012. Username is administrator 1. Okay, so as we are creating this web server, make sure you switch on these two ports, which are HTTP and HTTPS. We are going to work on HTTP port number 80. So please make sure you switch on these two ports. Review and create, because I don't need to make any more changes. Validation pass. So go ahead and create the virtual machine. So while my virtual machine is being deployed, I'll go ahead and create virtual machine 2. Select the resource group RGLB. This is web server 2. Keep the location as East US. Availability set, and it gives you option to select my AS, my availability set from the drop down. Image needs to be server 2012, administrator 2. Okay, so here also switch on these two ports, HTTP and HTTPS. Review and create. validation passed. So let's go ahead and create the virtual machine. So you can see both the virtual machine is being deployed here, so we'll wait for both the virtual machine to complete the deployment and then we'll move further. Okay friends, now you can see both the virtual machines are deployed. So if I refresh, I see both the virtual machines are here. So as we have both the virtual machines up and running, we can go to the option load balancer. If you do not see it in recent services, just start typing load balancer and so you will see it up. Go to load balancer, create load balancer, select the same resource group and I name it as my LB, which is my load balancer. Now keep the region as East US, and here I need to create the load balancer. It's a public load balancer, so select the public option and in SKU select basic. Please guys, do remember you need to select basic in SKU, else you will get completely different options in further steps. Okay, now create IP. So I create PIP load balancer. Now IP address assignment needs to be dynamic, so keep it as it is, review and create, and I create the load balancer. So let's wait for it to be deployed completely and then we'll move to the further steps. Okay guys, you can see the load balancer is deployed, so I go to the resource directly. Now you see we have these four options: front-end IP configuration, backend pools, health probes, and load balancing roles. So we'll start from front-end IP configuration. Okay, so the front-end IP configuration is already set up automatically. Let's go to backend pools now and click on add. Now I give it a name as my backend pool. Select the virtual networks and associate to should be virtual machines, because we are going to balance the load between virtual machines, and select both the virtual machines. Click on add. You see both the virtual machines are listed here now. Click on add and it is going to add this backend pool. Okay, my backend pool is done now. You can see it is giving me two entries, which is web server 1 and web server 2. So both the resources are added to backend pool. Now go to health probes and click on add. Now I name it as my HP, which is health probe, and set the protocol as HTTP, because we are going to access this load balancer through HTTP, which is port 80, and keep rest of the details as default. Click on add. Now that we have added the health probe, let's go to next step, which is load balancing tools. Click on add. My load balancing rules. Select the front-end IP address, keep the protocol as TCP, the port number is 80 and the backend port is also 80. Select the backend pool, select the health probe. Now the session persistent needs to be none, and keep rest of the details as default. Click on add. Okay, now you can see the load balancer is also added. Load balancing tool is also added. Now that I have created two virtual machines, I added the load balancer, I configured all these four options in the settings. Now jump to virtual machines and take the RDP of both the virtual machine web server 1 and web server 2. Okay, also take the remote of web server 2. while my virtual machine 2 is loading, go back to virtual machine 1. Now here we need to add the roles. So we are going to add the internet services role because we are going to create it as a application server. So next, and from these options click on web server, which is web server IIS, add features, click on next, again next, 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 and install. So we need to perform the same step on server 2. Click on add roles and features in server manager. Next, 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 scroll down, click on web server IIS, add features, next, 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 and install. Okay, I see the services are installed on my server 1, so I close this tab. And scroll down and open this file explorer in the server. I go to C drive, I go to inetpub, www root. So let me show you once again. You open the file explorer, you go to C drive, you go to this first option which is inetpub, and then you go to this www root. Here you have these two files. Just select and delete those files and create a new text file. Write down server 1 and you need to save it as index.html. So you need to save the file in the same folder, index.html. Save, close this. Now you have this index.html saved here, and now you can delete this text file. Okay, I'll do the same steps in server 2. I have this installation completed. I close this box, I minimize this server window so that I can scroll down, go to the file explorer, go to C drive, go to inetpub, www root, delete these options, create the text document, and I type in here server 2. I save it as index.html. Okay, I close this. I can delete this text file now, and now I can close both the servers. I am closing this one and another one also. Okay, now when we are going to access this application which I have just created, I am going to ping this IP of load balancer, because the traffic which is going to come to this application publicly, it is going to be diverted from load balancer. So you need to ping the IP address of load balancer, not the virtual machine. So you go back to load balancers, go to my LB, which is my load balancer, copy this public IP address and type it here in the address bar, enter. You see it is directing to server 1, but to show you the results, if I go to virtual machine, I go to my virtual machine 1 and stop this virtual machine. Okay, finally the virtual machine is completely stopped. Now what I do is I go ahead and ping the same IP, the same load balancer IP again. Now you see it is directing to server 2. So So you see, if server 1 is not giving the response, or the server 1 is down, because to show you practically I stop the server 1, but in the real environment, if server 1 is not responding, or if there is any issues with the server 1, the load is going to be directed to server 2. So this is how you implement public load balancer. If you have any doubts, go through the video once again, follow the exact same steps which I have done, and you will definitely be able to do this lab. If you have made it so far, please like the video and do subscribe the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.